Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today our motivational topic is how to solve family problems from conflict to connection. Solving family problems starts with understanding what is actually driving the conflict, not just the surface argument, but the unmet needs, old patterns, and communication breakdowns underneath it. Most family difficulties can be worked through with honest conversation, clearer boundaries, and the right support, including professional therapy when self help alone is not enough. Family conflict feels disproportionately painful because it carries emotional history. Arguments are rarely just about what was said, but about patterns built up over years. Most arguments are rooted in unmet needs to feel heard, respected, or understood rather than the topic being argued about. Practical steps include choosing the right moments, listening actively, addressing the root cause rather than the symptom, and setting boundaries with worth rather than as ultimatum. When conflict is entrenched or affecting daily life, family therapy provides a neutral space where every person can be heard, a new way of relating can be found. Seeking professional support is not a sign of failure, it is a practical step towards a more connected and resilient family life. Family problems are not a sign that something has gone fundamentally wrong. They are a sign that you are human and that the relationships you care about most are complicated. Many families find that the same arguments surface time and again, not because anyone is failing, but because difficult family relationships rarely resolve themselves without some deliberate effort. What matters is not whether problems arise, but how you respond to them. This article or blog explore why family conflict is so hard to resolve, what commonly drives it, and how to begin moving from a place of tension towards something that actually feels like connection. If you are already considering professional support, our guide to how family counseling works in practice covers the process from assessment through to what happens in a typical session. Now, why family conflict is so hard to resolve? The people we love can hurt us the most. There is a particular kind of pain that comes from conflict with family. It cuts differently from an argument with a colleague or a disagreement with a friend or family member. That is because the emotional stakes are higher. Family relationships carry history, shared memories, old wounds, years of expectations build up quietly over time. Our earliest experiences shape the way we relate to those closest to us, often in ways we are not fully aware of. When an argument breaks out over something that seems small, it is rarely just about that moment. A comment about money, parentings, or a missed phone call can carry the weight of everything that comes before it. That is why family conflict often feel so much bigger than it should. You are not just arguing about what was said, you are responding to a pattern that may have been forming for years. When communication breaks down, Most families do not fall apart because they stopped caring. They fall apart because they stopped communicating in a way that felt safe. Over time, some families develop patterns of avoidance. Difficult things go unsaid, tensions build, and eventually something tips over. Others move into a cycles of escalation where every disagreement becomes a flashpoint and strong emotions take over before either person has had the chance to think clearly. These patterns are not fixed. They are learned from the family dynamics we grew up in, and they can be changed. But before anything can shift, those patterns need to be recognized for what they are. Common problems in family relationships, communication and misunderstanding. The most common source of family conflict is not what people say, it is what they do not say. Most arguments are really about unmet needs, the need to feel heard, respected, valued, or understood. When these needs go unspoken, they tend to surface as frustration, withdrawal, or repeated argument about unrelated issues. Learning to separate the presenting problem from what is actually going on underneath. It is one of the most important skill in family conflict resolutions. A row about household responsibilities might really be about one person feeling unseen. A dispute about money might be rooted in stress or anxiety about the future. Getting to that deeper layer changes everything. Conflict between parents and adult children. Parent child relationships are some of the most emotional loaded in any family. They evolve over time through adolescence, through living home, through the complicated dynamic that emerge when adult children and aging parents have to renegotiate their relationship. When a parent becomes a carrier for an elderly relative, or when young adults return home, the demands placed on the family unit can shift dramatically. Generational or generational differences is value, beliefs, communication style, and expectations can make these relationships feel like constant translation work. Neither side is wrong necessarily, but without open communication, both sides can feel profoundly misunderstood. Family navigating these tensions sometimes find that support focused on the whole family unit overs a more effective route through than individual work alone. Sibling relationships and old rivalry. Sibling relationships are often overlooked in conversations about family well-being, yet they can be some of the most enduring sources of tension. The dynamic established in childhood around fairness, attention, and perceived favoritism do not simply disappear in adulthood. A pattern well documented in research on sibling relationships. They surface in a inheritance conversations, in how family responsibilities are shared, and in moments of crisis. Understanding and sibling conflicts often has root for deeper than the current disputes can help people approach these relationships with more patience and less blame. Bringing in other family members as formal meditator or mediator can sometimes help, though this needs to be approached carefully to avoid anyone feeling outnumbered. Now, navigating in law and blended family relationships. Navigating in law relationships and blended family dynamics brings its own particular challenges. Competing loyalties, different family cultures, and boundaries that have never been clearly established can all create ongoing friction. In the context of marriage or long term relationship, these tensions can quietly erode the family bonds that both parents are trying to build. These situations rarely benefit from anything being labeled the pattern. What they need is honest conversations about expectations and willingness from everyone involved to understand perspectives that are genuinely different from their own. Step by step, how to start solving family problems, choosing the right time for an honest conversation. You cannot have a meaningful conversations at the wrong moment, trying to resolve a long standing family issue in the middle of a heated argument or at the end of an exhausting day is likely unlikely to go well. Choosing the right time and environment matters. When the moment is right, approach the conversations from a place of curiosity rather than accusations. Starting with I feel rather than you always shifted tone immediately. It opens a door rather than closing one. Share ideas openly and invite the other person to do the same with the goal of finding common ground rather than winning the argument. And then listen, not to form your response, but to genuinely understand what the other person is saying. Please listen. Active listening sounds simple, but in emotionally charged conversations, it is one of the hardest things to do. It means giving your full attention, acknowledging what you have heard before responding, and resisting the urge to defend yourself before the other person has finished speaking. Research from the Mental Health Foundation consistently highlights that the quality of communication within relationships is one of the strongest predictors of long term family well being. Look for the root cause, not just the symptom. Once the conversation is open, try to move beneath the surface. Ask yourself and gently ask the other person what this conflict is really about. Is there unprocessed grief there or here? Fear? A sense of being overlooked or undervalued? When you address the root cause rather than the representing argument, something shifts. The same conversation that has been going around in circles for months can suddenly move forward. Surface arguments tend to lose their energy when the thing underneath them is finally named. Finding a solution becomes far more achievable when both people understand what the problem actually is. Find the problem, actual problem. Manage your own emotions first. Emotional regulation, skill our anger management support explores in depth is not the same as emotional avoidance. It does not mean pretending everything is fine or pushing down what you feel. It means recognizing when your emotional state is too heightened to have a productive conversation and giving yourself and the other person the time and space to calm down before continuing. Returning to a difficult conversation when you are calmer is not weakness, it is strategy. A conversation had in a state of distress tends to generate more distress. A conversation held with some emotional distance is far more likely to more somewhere useful. Building this kind of resilience, the ability to stay present in hard conversations without being overwhelmed by them, is a skill that develops over time. Setting boundaries to protect a healthy relationship. Healthy boundaries are not a rejection of family. They are what makes long term family relationships sustainable. A boundary is not a wall, it is a clear statement about what you need in order to stay engaged and present in a relationship. Communicating a boundaries with warmth and honesty rather than as an ultimatum changes how to or how it lands. I need a bit of space, offer a difficult conversation before I can walk further. A very different form I am doing or I am done talking. One invites continued connection and the other closes it down. It shares a plan for how difficult conversations will be handled. Agreed upon a calm moment can prevent the same destructive behavior from repeating itself. When family problems run deeper, loneliness, and the limits of self help, some family dynamics have become so entrenched that no amount of good intention on one side can shift them alone. If conversations keep ending the same or some way, if someone has withdrawn entirely, or if the emotional tool of ongoing conflict is affecting daily life, that is worth talking seriously. The loneliness that comes from being at odds with the people closest to you can be profound, and its effects on mental health are real, as highlighted. Guidance on loneliness. How family therapy and professional support can help. Family therapy offers something that self help guides cannot, a safe, neutral space where every person in the dynamic can be heard without the conversation spiral, spiraling. Now, the conclusion is family problems rarely disappear on their own. Let unaddressed tension qualify or uh, quietly grows, and the distance between people who love each other becomes harder to close. But conflict is not the end of the story. With honesty, patience, and the right support, family can move beyond what has broken them apart and build something stronger on the other side. If your family is struggling and you are not sure where to begin, Talking to a qualified therapy can give you the clarity and tools to move forward. Select Psychology offers specialist family and relationship therapy delivered by delivered by professionals who understand how complex these dynamics can be. So that's the end of the video, my friends. Be happy in your life. Have a good day. And if you like my blogs, please subscribe and share it.